Got a lot of folks showing up. I'm thrilled that you're with us. Jennifer, Delian, Laurel, all good to see you. Heidi, I realize you're hiding off camera, but oh, there you go. You're going to pop in. It's good to see you. Chantel, welcome. Fernando, I haven't met you yet, boss, but I'm thrilled that you're here. We're going to have a good time. Drea and Courtney offline, appreciate you guys being here. Just know that you're valued. And if I didn't say hello to you as you were coming in, just welcome. I'm thrilled that you're with us. I'm going to get us moving. We're starting something new. We're doing a coaching series, which many of you may have seen. We're going to be talking to Enneagram coaches about their take on their type. We're going to spend probably the first 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to just be bantering with Jackie Brewster, who's our 7, Kristin Messegee, who's our 6, and Nadia Brackett, who's our 5, and very informed people. Obviously, there's a handful of you who are with us who are also deeply informed. Like one of the things I love about our community is how knowledgeable many of you already are about Enneagram. And so we can go some depthy places. But in my view, returning to basics may be one of the best things that those of us who are deeply informed can do. Oftentimes we think that learning more about the Enneagram means that we need to get more and more and more complicated. Let's bring in tri-types. Let's bring in the instincts. Let's bring in other topics that overlap. And sometimes we miss some of the most essential core elements because we just haven't really come back to the basics with fresh language, fresh insights. We read a book back in 2016, and that gave us all we needed to know to get into the system. Returning to basics strikes me as one of the most valuable things you can do, and so that's what I'm hoping to do with our time together. So we are going to do the head types this time. Next week, we're going to be doing body types, and for the first time in like 50 of these suckers, the TJ Wilson will be joining us, and so will Stacy Wen, who's with us, is going to lock down the 8s for us, and Danny Cooper is going to be with us to talk shop about 1s. But I'm super excited about this. And by the way, just so many of you showed up today. I'm just really grateful for how many of you have attended. So this should be special. One last footnote. As always, Delian is the king of the queen of the chat. Some of the best work that's done is not going to be what's coming through a microphone. It's going to be what's in the chat. So especially as we're doing things up front, throw out your comments, your questions in that space, banter with one another. You have full permission to kind of engage what we're talking about in those spaces. I find that that's much better than breakout rooms in my view. And we'll just keep it all together. So any questions, thoughts, anything we're
Yes,
saying
my
before we get
first
going?
question.
Come on.
Does anyone actually like breakout rooms in workshops on Zoom? I have to know. You
The
do?
9s
Okay.
do.
So interesting. Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. Love it.
All right, well, let's do this. We're doing head types, coaches. We're going to start with Jackie the 7. Jackie, I would love to boast on Jackie, but Jackie, why don't you tell us about yourself, and then I'll fill in the things that I think are really impressive.
All right. I'm an Enneagram 7. I have my own coaching practice. Have for several years, I guess 8 years now. I've written a couple books, and I'm currently writing Enneagram for Dummies, if you guys are familiar with the Dummies brand, which is really exciting.
Really?
They reached out and said, hey, would you be interested? And I'm like, yes, of all the writers, okay. So I get to write that through the lens of psychology, so which is really fun. I live in Franklin, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville. I have 4 children, 24, 22, and then twins that are going to be 18, and this is their senior year. So this is the end of a lot, I feel like. I'm 49, you guys. I just turned 49, so I'm like, this is the end of my 40s. There's so many ends, and I have so many feelings. So as a 7, I want to escape them all. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Jackie's book on marriage is really quality, and you should pick it up.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just gonna start out kind of as I said. What are some of when you think about being a 7? What language connects with you most? Both that's just well known, but also that may not be as well known.
Yeah, I think optimistic, adventurous, futuristic, all of those for sure. Visionary, I can see a lot of different pieces and put them together kind of like a puzzle in my head. Scattered is there, you guys. I wish it wasn't, and it's there and it's loud in this season. So that is definitely, I can notice myself really scattered. But other words, I think that on the flip side of the optimistic fun, there's a deep need to be known and to be emotionally known. And I think that messaging around I want to be taken care of for the 7, I find that it really comes more from an emotional place than it does, a material place. So I think that the wounding of a 7 is really deep. We mask it really well. We're resilient. We want to have fun. We want people to feel good. There's a lot of that, like, if you're okay, I'll figure out how to be okay. So we can see a lot of that people pleasing. I wouldn't say I'm a people pleaser, but I care about the people closest to me that they're okay. So not everybody, but those closest to me, I care deeply that if you guys are okay, then I'll figure out how to be okay. Yeah, I mean, fun. It really is like, I see life through opportunity and possibility. And on the flip side of that too, when I'm in my stress, I can be incredibly nitpicky and negative and mean and like not at all. Nobody wants to be around me. I don't even want to be around me. So like there's a deeper side of that too in stress. Like I'm not kind and I'm not happy. And I'm probably want you to leave me alone. So because I feel, and I do think that with that, doing all the work that I've done on myself, but with clients too, is that it feels like I feel entrapped. And so I'm trying to figure out how to find freedom. And so when I feel trapped in anything, I am like a caged animal. I want out. And so today I'm healthier, guys. I'm much healthier than I used to be. But when back in the day with all those babies, I felt really, really trapped and it was suffocating and I wanted to escape. And so in that I could see, there's a lot of different elements to the 7. So yeah, is that helpful?
Incredibly. That's a fantastic list. I would love to pair, because you did do a little bit on stress. I would love to pair it with your experience of your security move as well. How do you experience
Yes.
5 space?
Oh my gosh. I feel like today I probably live more in that 5 space than ever before. In that 5 space, I love to investigate. I love to learn. I love to grow. I am constantly reading things and articles, and I just want to know more about the things that I'm interested in. So there is that going quiet. If you guys in the Wisdom of the Enneagram, that book, it talks about like the Enneagram 7 is kind of scattered and they don't really get white hot about anything, in health and growth, we do. In health and growth, we settle, we recognize that there's purpose to patterns, like there's purpose to disciplines. And so in my health and growth phase, I recognize that systems are important and that there might be a lot of things I want to do, but I'm not going to be able to do all of them well. And so I have to pick and choose, and I don't want to. In this season I'm in right now, you guys, there's so many great things all around me happening, and I want to be a part of all of them, and I can't. So they're all going to go see Spider-Man, and I'm not. I'm going to write my book because that's the responsible thing to do. So I want to do all the non-responsible things, but in my health and growth, I recognize the importance of settling down and focusing. And I don't mind being alone. That's a big thing for a 7. Like I don't mind in that quiet space. I'm not afraid of what I'm going to find about myself because I've already had to dig it out and expose it. But a lot of that busyness and going has to do with actually getting quiet and sitting with what am I going to find. And so for the 7, I don't want to go to those emotional places. I don't want to look back. But again, in that growth place, you're not afraid of it anymore.
That's lovely. We're going to transition to Kristin here in a second. I had one follow-up for you, Jackie, if you want to go into it. I have not heard someone talk about a 7's deep need to be emotionally known before. That popped for me. I was hoping, can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, the connection or the disconnection to the nurturing parent for the Enneagram 7. So when I read that, first of all, I was like, I would think I was disconnected to my dad because my dad left when I was a baby too. But when I read it about my mom, I was like, oh my gosh. And I could see how I became her emotional support through childhood and still today. Like I'm the person she calls. So I could see how that linked in. And then I could also see how little me had to take my emotions and I had to figure out what to do with them. So I played Barbies and babies and did art. I did a lot of things to try to kind of soothe that emotional need. And so I learned how to navigate life, not necessarily looking for somebody else to fix it, because as a 7, assertive stance, stand independently and push against, assuming nobody's going to fix it. I'm going to have to just figure this out on my own. So let me turn the volume of that one down. But when I really did the deep work, that was the thing that I needed most, was this emotional connection. But I kept everybody at bay, including my husband, for 12 years. And then when I realized what I was doing, it was like, oh, the thing I need is him, but I don't know how to give him access to me, because he could destroy me if I let him, because that's the deep need that I had. And so 27 years later, guys, we're in it, we're doing it. I didn't get destroyed.
Husband's a 3, is that right?
Yeah, he's a 3. Okay. Oh, yeah.
And you paired this with the heart's message when you first said it, in terms of the desire of 7s to feel like their needs are taken care of.
Yeah, I did.
Is that a clean line for you then, in terms of being emotionally known and having your needs taken care of?
Is it a clean line? What do you mean by clean line? Like, is that the only line?
Do you pair those together, or are those separate?
Yeah, I pair those together.
Yeah. Bang. I think that's important to note. That's what I meant. So, bang. That's a fantastic start for our time. Jackie, thank you. Kristin, we're gonna move to you. Kristin, if folks don't know you, why don't you tell us about yourself?
So I'm just gonna start by saying I feel like this is the sexiest thing I could possibly. I'm just gonna this is it right here. I am a 6. I have a business that is coaching 6s. I've been doing this for 7 years. I have a podcast that I have 180 episodes of talking about being a 6. And as I sit here before you, I'm like, I have no idea what to say or how to talk about this.
Perfect.
And I feel like that's it. That's the whole story. Yeah. So this also, because I'm so nervous. I mean, I do this all day, every day, and I'm like in a near panic. So, this is how we roll as 6s. Can I get some 6s nodding with me in the room? Yeah. We need the relatability. We need the collective co-regulation. All that said, I like to talk about things at a very high level. So bringing them down is very challenging for me. So I didn't do any prep until Jackie was sharing, which, Jackie, thank you so much. I feel like you shared so much wisdom in that short time. I wrote some things down. So let's go over them. Shoulds. 6s and shoulds are real close friends. Duty. If we think we should do something, it is near impossible to not do that thing. But we also want everyone to know how hard we're working and everything we're holding and carrying and navigating. Because there's a lot of emotion that comes with that pressure. And because we have such a hard time talking about and navigating our own emotional life, and we believe our emotions come from the external pressure, we want to get rid of that pressure. And I'm going to get rid of that pressure by telling you everything I'm doing, everything I'm navigating, how hard I'm working. And I really want that mirrored back to me. So that part. Okay. Next up, devil's advocate. Here's how I like to talk about being a devil's advocate. If I go into a room and it's too, the tone is too serious, I'm going to want to lighten that up. If I go into a room and the tone is too light, I'm going to want to bring that down. So like emotional tone, I want it to be where I want it to be, right? What feels like Goldilocks just right to me. It's what I want and what I think is correct. Do any other, like, okay, I'm like literally like, is that right? This is another six thing. I'm the expert here. I'm like, is that right, you guys? Okay. Also, help me, don't help me. This is just help me, but don't help me. Because if you try to help me, you're not going to get it quite right. So you're going to be making suggestions of how to help me. And I'm going to be like, no, that's not right. That's not it. Because I really want to be met emotionally because we're quite capable. We can do what we need to do. We will do what we need to do. We're not usually looking for actual help, although sometimes. Because the other thing about sixes, right, is it depends. It all depends. Also, this I can't do it is the mental fixation, which I just demonstrated for y'all at the top because I wanted you to really see like what that means. There's no evidence in the world that I can't sit here and talk to you about sixes, but my fixation is saying I can't do it, paired with my fear is like, I don't know how to do this. Unless someone I like this phrase, rolls out the red carpet for me to do my thing, which Jeff is amazing at. Jeff's like rolls out the red carpet for people all day long, and it's lovely. But that's really what I think sixes are looking for to bring themselves forward is someone else has to be like, I got you. Walk on this red carpet I've laid out for you. Otherwise, it can just be too scary. Unless you're going against. Because sixes also, this against thing is just really important to talk about. We find ourselves against people, things, systems. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Viv. Help me out. Lots of attention to the details that matter for the six. So not all sixes care about where the exits are. I never know where an exit is in a building. I don't look at the menu before because I can't order, I don't do any of those things. But the details that matter to me, I can't look away from. Okay, that's what I got. I'm sweating. How we doing?
1, you're doing great. 2,
Great.
the construction noise is incredibly light, so don't even think about it. I would love to ask you about the heart's message. Since Jackie brought this up, I thought it would be interesting. When you think about the heart's message for sixes, does anything pop for you? I don't know if you can do that off the cuff, but
I think it's like we might be okay. Like it might be okay. I might be able to do this.
it's not declarative. It's a might. You going to slide the might in there?
I mean, that's what I want. What I want is like, but I know I can't have what I want. I mean, what I want is my people will be okay. I will be okay. We will stay, I don't know, in whatever state I really want us to be in, and we might make it. We might be able to enjoy life. Sounds so bad, but it's the heart's message. It's tender. It's tender in there.
That's well said. There's also what I hear there is like you're giving a little bit of flexibility because if it was too declarative, I'm going to be okay. That's a little bit
my
too
brain
forceful?
will just shoot that down.
Yeah.
I mean, if I try to say that, my brain
Yeah.
will not let that land. Because it's true. Right. And this is where
Right.
it's like, sure, I can go to like, woo, like big spiritual levels. And I can be like, yes, in the course of all things, I have a part to play. And that's okay. That's actually me in nine space is like, I can put myself in the story of life and decenter my own moment to moment experience.
I love that. It's well said. Wait, let's
I
talk
love
about
it
your
too,
move to
'cause it's
3.
exhausting otherwise. Move to 3. Move to 3 is real chaotic, still effective, unkind. I'm at the top. Everyone else is an idiot. We got to get like, I guess I'll just do it all. So a lot of angry cleaning at my move to 3. I don't know if anyone else angry cleans, but it's sharp and it's very self-isolating. So there's an action component, but it's really the mental component of like, no one else sees what I see. This is all on me is a very 3 move.
Do you not want attention in that space? Or is it
I
Is
mean,
that the way
attention,
you're
I'm so
getting
blown
attention?
out in that space. It's like,
Mm.
I think that I view the stress move as like sharp and deep. I don't view it as like low functioning. So, like in a low functioning space, I kind of have this same energy, but I'm still trying to get people in. Once I've actually dropped into that stress move, I don't care about really what people are seeing. It's like things just have to happen.
On the flip side, how would you describe the move into nine space?
As I said, like really being able to like take myself out of the moment and see myself as part of the larger human story, time and space and all of that. And like I just have to play my part in that space. And it feels so nice to just have to play my part. That keeps me out of the like, should I be this? Should I be that? Should I be this? Should I be that? Because there's a whole thing of six. It's like, who am I? What am I about? What's mine to do? Who am I? So I think finding that and just doing what I do and trusting that that is right for me, that's me in nine space. I don't have to be and do all these other things because I'm really good at what I'm good at.
It's stellar. Stellar answers. Thank you. Let me move over to you, Nadia. Nadia was one of my favorite interviews from this last year. Was on a panel with Fives. Nadia, introduce yourself. What are you up to?
Hey, well, I'm currently on a bunch of Dayquil because I have a cold, so I'm operating a little bit slower than usual, but I'm happy to be here. And thank you for inviting me. I am a licensed psychotherapist. I've been practicing for over 8 years now, and I specialize in the realm of depth-oriented or depth psychology, which is really the study of the unconscious, of soul. Takes after Carl Jung's work, which lends itself well to the Enneagram because it's all about the unconscious and motivation and what are we protecting and what's happening underneath the surface that we're not quite aware of. And so I was first introduced to the Enneagram in 2016 and thought I was an Enneagram 4 for several years until landing in my fiveness. And many fives I speak to have this experience. So I'll be excited to kind of talk about the similarities and differences there.
When thinking about Fives, what language connects with you most?
Hmm. Stingy. Like definitely avarice connects. It's the thing that I'm noticing all day, every day. And it's definitely gotten better, but I'll have experiences of like my best friend in the world calls me and I look at it and I'm like, not today, or somebody will ask for my opinion immediately and I'm like, no. And I was like, what is that? That is so interesting.
Mm,
So stinginess, at my worst, iconoclast, creative, deep, wise. I wrote either quiet and or monologuing. So we're very quiet until you like hit our sweet spot, and then it's like we'll share absolutely everything, and we don't really have an in between. Uh, Not wanting to look foolish, and this is something that I work with a lot. Like as Jeff knows, when I was invited on the Five podcast many months ago, he sent things to prepare with, and I was like, please don't send me those things. I don't want to know the questions you're going to ask me. I need to show up and just practice what it means to like be seen here without feeling like I need to know it all to
mm,
belong. And I would say one thing that I think we get wrong about fives is that we are really incredibly warm people and we have a lot of tenderness and we feel a lot, even if you can't see that. So, myself and many fives that I know often are surprised to hear that we come off elusive or that we come off aloof because that's not what we're experiencing internally.
mm. This has been a hot topic for me in terms of talking about the emotional life of fives and how it's invisible to a lot of folks, especially Enneagram teachers for some reason. But I have found exactly what you're saying. The warmth and tenderness of fives is very strong. When you talk, what popped for me in terms of your language so far is belonging through knowledge, or not needing to know it all in order to, in order to belong. What can you talk a little bit about that in terms of connecting with others and what you see there?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think there's a deep fear of not belonging, and fives belong in the rejection sensitive triad, right? And so we expect rejection. That's like we're moving through the world expecting rejection, but we have a posture that removes ourselves from dynamics or from relational contexts out of out of the fear of rejection. And so for us fives, we try to accumulate more knowledge before showing up because we think that that's going to help us not be rejected
Mm,
as quickly as obviously. And that childhood wounding and messaging for the five is both being overwhelmed and neglected. And so I think fives, we have a hard time knowing not only if we're going to be overwhelmed in connection, but we are also afraid we're going to overwhelm others. And that is something that I feel like fives are very aware of, is because they know what it's like to be intruded on. They don't want to intrude on others. And so we want to have it all figured out so that we come with like the perfect amount of something so that it's not overwhelming and not underwhelming. And then we can like go and retreat and hide again.
well said. Can you talk about, since we've been talking about kind of stress and security moves, can you talk a little bit about what stepping into seven space looks like for you?
Yeah, I resonate a lot with what Jackie shared,
Mm,
especially the scattered, very scattered. There's almost like that hungry ghost that gets kicked up, and it's like, okay, more, more, more. I've got to learn more. Like, I joke that I know that I'm moving to my seven line by how many books are stacked up on my nightside table. Because when I'm doing well, it's like one or two. And then it really will be like a dozen books. They're on the ground, they're underneath the bed, they're in the bed with me. Like, it's fascinating. And that's really where I feel so much more of the anxiety in my body. And I know being a head type, I'm fighting against fear all the time, but I would say that when I'm in my stress mode is when I feel it the most. When it comes to growth line of eight, it's very much about showing up as is, right? Like in this moment, I'm feeling that, feeling my body in this space, saying yes first or doing first, making claims.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think of, I think I shared this on the podcast episode with you, Jeff, but I'll share it for this space. I'm married to an eight, and he's fantastic. And he does this thing that totally freaks me out as a five, which is he just believes that if he walks in the middle of traffic, cars will stop for him. Just like he can impose his will on the world and like everybody's going to stop for him. And that freaks me out. I'm like, how? You need to know what's happening here. You cannot trust that cars are going to stop for you. But I really think of that as a metaphor for what it's like to move to my eight line, which is really just showing up, taking up space, and trusting that I'm not going to die in the process.
It's excellent. All right, I'm gonna bring all three of you in now, Jackie, Kristen, and Naya. I want to talk of just what you share, set you all up for talking about what you share as head types. Starting with kind of motive. There's a lot of language around motive for head types, from security, stability, safety, or I've seen recently certainty as something that's shared in terms of your motives. When thinking about like that, just that primal, this is what I need to feel good in my head center. What sort of language would you use on that front?
I really like certainty. I think that in certain areas, like there's a specificity to where I want that.
Mm,
I resonate with certainty. Uh, I think safety for me is that's probably the root of it. And I would not have ever thought that until late 40s. Like I did not see it. I did not realize anxiety. I was just whatever, life was happening and I was getting eaten up by it. And when I slowed everything down, just in the past couple of years, I really began to see how much fear was inside of me since I was little me, like 2 on, I could see it. And then I realized, oh my gosh, how much of what I've been doing and my decisions and even parenting, all of it has been driven by fear. And I can look at the average range of my personality and see, oh yeah, this is just who I am, but no, it was driven by a fear of, and I wasn't sure I was going to be taken care of emotionally in all the different ways. So yeah, I think all those words resonate, but safety is probably louder for me, which is so interesting that as a 7, I went to safety, and as a 6, you went to certainty. Like just word wise, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, because the safety for me, it's so projected, right? It's safety for my people. It'll ping for me occasionally, but that's not really just the experience of it. It's like, I really just desperately want my people to be safe.
Yeah.
So it's hard. That's a very hard one for me to even take in and feel around about. But it's very easy for me to see externally, which tracks with projection.
Yeah. So interesting.
What'd you say, Nadia?
Yeah, I was gonna say knowledge. I was like, okay. But it's like, what is knowledge helping me with? And it is to feel certain, it is to feel safe. And fives are really taking in the world through the internal. And so that's where knowledge comes in, but it really is, am I going to be safe and how am I going to be certain? And that's what leads to the motivation of trying to accumulate knowledge, and that whatever that means, right? I think we get 5s wrong, where it's like not every 5 is interested in computers and aerospace, right? Or like factual data. It's like I'm very into like mysticism and like I want to talk about feelings and philosophy. So we can like do away with that for 5s. But there is this hunger for knowledge, because we think that if we can figure it out and get to the bottom of something, then we will be okay. Like I'm loving this chat, like the 8 who's saying, yeah, my 5 wife also does this too. And the 8s that are like, yeah, I think cars are going to stop for me. As a 5, it's like, I need to know exactly what's happening with every single car out there. I need to be making eye contact. I need to like predict. I need to know. And if I know, then I'm certain, and then I can walk safely.
And then, so for a 6, exactly that. But then the fixation will tear apart that certainty the moment it's landed on. So it's like, yes. But what if? But wait, it could be. And then you're right back in the loop. Does that happen for you, Nadia? Like,
not
once
nearly
you get
as
your
much.
Certainty, are you like, got it? You can like,
got it.
Yeah.
Holding it, taking it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So I think I move first.
Yeah.
Like we're just going to figure it out on the fly kind of thing. Like I want certainty, I want safety, I want those things, but I also want freedom. And so let's just see what happens and we'll figure it out as we go. And I can move. I'm resilient, like I can figure this out, and that positive outlook piece, like it's going to be fine. We'll figure it out. This is so fascinating. Thank you for doing this, Jeff. Like just hearing the different, all of us in the same grouping, and just kind of how it stacks on each other even. It's like, oh yeah, from there to there to there. It's like, yeah, you get to the 7 and we are more risk taker. We are more, let's jump out of the plane and we'll hopefully the parachute opens.
So, and I 100% have that gear.
Yeah.
And it will absolutely show up if someone around me is more anxious, more doubting. I'm just like,
Yeah.
what in the world? We will figure,
Okay.
like, let's go, let's do something. I mean, and that's really my role as a coach,
Yeah.
is I am
Mm-hmm.
so not about swimming in what we can't do
Mm-hmm.
energetically or in with anyone
Mm-hmm.
else. So
Mm-hmm.
if they are more in that space, then I'm absolutely like, oh, okay, let's go, let's show up, we'll figure it out. So if I, especially if I'm supporting someone else who is worried
Mm-hmm.
about something, then you're going to see a very competent, secure version of six show up. So again, that's that
Yeah.
devil's advocate, kind of like, what's my response to the moment
Yeah.
is where you're going to see different things, which I think is also why people, it's hard to find themselves in six, because it's like, well, we don't know. We don't know until we know what's happening. Then we'll know.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah.
What I hear there is the target is the same, needs to get named. The motive is there and needs to, especially for those of us not in the head center, really important for us to see what's being aimed at. It's how you acquire that motive. That's what's different. Am I gaining control through movement? I know what it's like to ride a motorcycle, or I know what it's like to ski. I can control myself going 40 miles an hour way more than I can control myself standing still on a pair of skis. I fall over all the time when I'm just standing there. But I imagine the fives, or even perhaps Kristen has can shift into this gear that pausing, even entrenching for a minute, may be a better option for finding the safety and certainty about the world than movement. Isn't that how that would work for you, Nadia? Is that there's more of an intuition that if I entrench, if I back up, if I withdraw a bit, that's the place where safety is found?
Yes, I think that that's where my type wants to go
Yeah.
so frequently. And I really do also resonate with what Kristen was saying about how if if I'm the boldest one in the room, which does happen kind of frequently, and especially as a psychotherapist, like I am so much leading the like I'm way less afraid if somebody else is around.
Mm,
Or I would totally go and jump out of a plane with you, Jackie, if you were like, we're doing this. I'd be like, yeah,
Mhm.
we are. Right? Like if there isn't time to do what Jeff is saying and going back and like withdrawing and stuff, like I I have the ability to really go and push forward. But left to my own devices, it really is let me withdraw, let me go back into the crab shell, let me reassess. And then it's like walking through mud to try to get back out.
it's a good description. It's
Mhm.
also a good description of the movement that's available there in terms of if you have tools for moving into some of that stress, those stress tools that can be there. What were you going to say, Kristen?
Just that that's also super relatable. I like so much alone time, so much alone time, which I don't get enough of. It's, I just love it. I love to go into myself, read, meditate, write, like do my work to regulate myself is where I feel best.
Mm.
I'm asking myself right now if I would rather do that alone or with someone. I think it's both.
And you're associating that with your security move, yeah?
No, I just whatever Nadia said I was reacting to.
Just there you go. And let's talk about anxiety or fear or both. When thinking about like the underlying feeling, I associate this with kind of a future reference, but I would love your thoughts on whether or not when you think about your underlying feeling, it's best described as anxiety or best described as fear.
I get real fired up about this conversation,
Yes, you
so
do.
I don't know if I should share about that.
Please share.
I want to hear.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's like okay. Let me see if I can do it. So there's a getting things correct, and there's the experience of them. And one of the things that really upsets me is when, because anxiety, we have to say, is true for 6. We know that. Duh. Okay. However, anger is also a very frequent emotion that is directly related back to fear. In some cases, not all, but in many cases for 6, you will experience a lot more anger or you will experience a lot more cynicism. So neither of those is anxiety. Anxiety is one branch that comes from a belief that I cannot contact fear. And by belief, I mean subconscious belief. Okay, so this subconscious belief that I cannot feel my fear. Thank you, Asher, so I can repeat myself one more time. Because I'm like, I'm doing it. This is making sense. There are branches of emotions that 6s can experience, and they are not all anxiety. And a lot of 6s just won't even feel anxious because they're pissed and they're frustrated and they don't feel anxious. So to say it's anxiety really upsets me, and I feel like it's a distortion of the system as it was.
Can I ask a question about that real quick?
No,
Just
I
as
have
a
to calm
clarifier.
down. Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
So not to bring myself into this, but oftentimes when I feel anger, it's masking something that I experience elsewhere, which might be sadness or some other emotion that I'm just not really comfortable in right now. Does anger do that job for you in terms of masking the underlying anxiety, or is anger more primal? I hear it being primal in the way that you're saying it, that this is the primary emotion.
Mm-mm. The way I'm saying it is that it's masking fear. Yes. But
Okay.
I absolutely think there is primal anger, and everyone, especially women, needs to really get in touch with which is which, because primal anger is so important. This is a whole other topic. Let's get all Kristin's soapboxes going today. So they feel very different. They are in different places in my body. I recognize them.
Mm.
But the anger that I am describing is the one that would be masking. It's masking a belief that I can't feel the fear. So yes, it's masking the fear, but there's a belief there that I think is important to sort of excavate.
Yeah. Well said.
Thank
Y'all
you.
got thoughts? Nadia or Jacket?
Yeah, I relate to that a lot. Thank you, Kristin. I think 5s don't want to be seen as angry. We're like, what? No, not me. And it really, little me, it really is like what you're saying of the anger becomes the shield against the fear. Like, I will get angry if I feel like I'm being intruded upon. That's initially where I go. It's like, no. My
Mm.
husband over the years has been like, are you sure you're not a 1? With the way that you deal with your anger and very quickly, like, tell me what I'm doing wrong and, all of those types of things. And so I can get quick to anger now. When I was a child, teen, young adult, that wasn't true for me. I felt like I would have maybe resonated more with hearing about 6s in the way that I related to fear and anger. But I would say that it's fear, not anxiety. Fear feels,
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you.
yeah, I really like that. I really appreciate that. Yes. And I'm a 5. I'm like, yeah, tell us where we've got it wrong. Let's dive deeper, right? But I think fear is more annihilating. It's more primal. Yeah.
Mm.
You got thoughts, Jackie?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, what do I think? What do I feel? I have a hard time with it anyways, you guys. Really, like I've masked it with like possibility and other things. I didn't register anxiety really ever until recently. So I know it is in our, like, that is in our triad, right? But fear, yes. Like fear, yes. Anger, yes. Anxiety, but I can feel anxiety in my body. I can feel anxiety in my body. And fear is more connected to being held back, being limited. That's where I'm going to get mad or frustrated, or you guys, like silly things like this thought keeps coming back. So I'll just share it. It's a little being several years ago, going to the mall with my 3 girls. So I have 4 kids. The boy doesn't want to go shopping with us, right? But the 3 girls do. And so, but if I go to the mall with them, that means that they're going to want to look at what they want to look at. And they want me to spend my money on what they want, which means I don't get to look at what I want and I don't have any money left. And so then I'm like irritated going to the mall, and I don't know why I'm irritated. Nobody did anything. And then when I started to recognize it's limiting, it's like I don't get to do what I want. And so, and I want to be there with them, but I also don't get to do what I want. And so then I would get mad. But I think it was like the fear of like, oh my gosh, there's going to be no money left for me to buy anything. Which I love to shop. So I can see, I know that that's a silly analogy or example, but not analogy. But when I think about, fear is much more accessible and probably speaks to like the anger to that. Yeah. I feel like I'm all over the place right now, but yes, Kristin, I understand. I resonate with what you said.
I really see, this is a 60 thing. I already said what I said. And now I need to exclamation point it. Because I've done multiple podcast episodes on this if you want to hear more. Because I was so mad when I was interviewing someone who'd written a book and they called, the primary emotion for 6 is fear, but I call it anxiety because that just makes more sense. I was livid. Jackie and I have gone rounds about that. Jackie Contessa.
I do that. I still say that, even though we've had this conversation.
I know. I heard you say it on our morning show the other day, and I had to whoosh. I had to gather myself.
Because we see eye to eye on it. And for me, I also include fear, cynicism, everything like such as into, but like the distinction in not calling it fear is how we physiologically respond to one or the other. So like we're in agreement, but I still do the thing that pisses you off, and I love you and I'm sorry.
I know. It's okay. We can still be friends. But the reason I get so frustrated about it really is another very 6y reason is I fear that 6s will not find themselves in their type when everyone is like, 6s are just always so anxious. Like it infuriates me because I actually like this system. I think we need to do a good job with it. So if it's hard to talk about, which was the person's defense, well, it's hard to talk about. That's a you thing, not a system thing. Figure out how to talk about it correctly. Now I will go hide because I've yelled at everyone.
I am loving every bit of this. I have my 22-year-old daughter is an Enneagram 6. So I feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm learning so much right now. Yeah.
We're just a delight through and through.
She is. So, and so are you.
Yeah. It just makes me real mad.
Last question for the 3 of you is a conversation topic, and then we'll blow it open to everyone else. But I would love to talk about your relationship with your head center, and specifically, like, do you have questions for the other 2 types and their relationship to the head center? So you have your own relationship. You experience your mind and cognition and analysis in certain ways. I imagine the other 2 experience it slightly different. Is there anything that comes to your mind, heart, like things that you would want to know about the other 2 types in your triad?
I feel like I can understand. So first of all, I have to understand things, right? I need mental models for things. In my health, I need less mental models. Those can just be like gauzy and I can just be. But as a 6, my relationship to my head center is I want correct mental models for things. I want to understand things correctly. So I wonder how that is different, Nadia, than how you would say it, if that resonates at all. And then I think also probably Jackie. And I also feel like I can understand the difference between 6 and 7 more than I can understand the difference between 6 and 5.
Can you take it a little bit further? I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
No. I don't know what you said is the
That's
trouble.
where it ends.
Like I like mental models, right? So like when you were talking about kind of retreating and gathering, like I so do that. So because I want to come to a place where I can think and understand something in a way that I'm like, okay, I've got this. Is that relatable to you, what I just said?
I could unpack what I think she's saying if you needed more, Nadia.
Yes, thank you.
There's something I think about ones, twos, and sixes, but maybe especially ones and sixes, where we are relying part of our thinking last, thinking repression. We outsource some of our thinking to the model, to the system. So you had brought up Jungian psychology a while back. That's going to give you a little bit more stability framework, understanding, because it's a model of how the world works through which you can interpret things. And what I imagine is that maybe some of the types are going to lean a little bit more heavily into said models.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Kristen, does that feel like an that Jeff did an
Yes,
accurate job? Okay.
he did. Kind of. I can't ever stay with one model though. So it's got to be my model that I came to using all the other models.
Mhm. Me too.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to know more about what it means for it to be your model because I find that fascinating. And I do think that that's probably a distinction between fives and
I don't know that
sixes.
that's all sixes because I
I
think
do the
many,
same.
Okay.
many, many. Okay, so that might be more me leaning this way because many, many, many sixes want a model because then they don't have to do their own thinking.
Okay. And
Like
Jackie,
tucking
you agree
into
with
a
that?
system.
I don't I take in a lot of information and then I come up with my own model. Like how I think. So it's not one specific mindset or one specific theory or anything like that. It's like I pull from a lot of different and then begin to make sense of the world or the information or different types through that. I can see all the different nuances of it. And then I build my model. Like I think that that's what you're saying, Kristen. I'm going to say framework. I think I'll use framework.
I like it.
I'm going to build the framework around how I teach or how I understand based off of a lot of different information coming in.
Mm.
Is that
Yes.
helpful?
This is really good. It's helping me think about something that I haven't really put words to before. I would say that for myself, yes, definitely. I mean, we're here talking about the
Mm-hmm.
Enneagram, which is
Mm-hmm.
a model, right? So
Mm-hmm.
irony is not lost on me.
Mm-hmm.
And like for myself studying depth psychology, the
Mm-hmm.
thing that I really love about that is that it's a way of life, not really a model, right? It's a way of moving with the
Hmm.
world.
So
And
good.
something that I
So good.
feel as a five, and I think that people get this wrong about fives as well, is that we want to know everything to categorize it. I actually feel way more afraid of that reality than the unknown. Like, I want to be swimming in the unknown more when it comes to what does it mean to be human. Like, let's have those conversations. It actually feels way scarier to me to think that something could be a definitive, like, this is what the answer is.
I
Um,
relate a
and
million% to what you're saying. Yes.
Me too.
great. Okay.
Me too.
You do. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
tell me.
Oh no, you keep telling us.
So we're just like, yes,
Oh,
yes, yes.
There's something about, I think somebody correct me. There's a term, I want to say it's metacognition, where you're thinking about your thinking. And that I assume it's the case that five, sixes, and sevens will be aware of that gear because you're in the thinking center, doing business with your thinking. And then what emerges from that process will be quite valuable and give you some of the stability, safety, certainty that is desired because you understand what it means to come to thinking more than the rest of us.
Not all sixes can do that.
Okay, that's fair.
It is a skill. It's not an automatic. Some people have it as like a more trait way of being, which is nice because you can use that. Not all sixes can do that or want to do that.
I suppose that would overlap with it being your repressed center in some sense, wouldn't it?
No, I mean, I have a
I have
list, but
something
it feels like
maybe
that.
around this.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I also think it speaks to where are we in our own journeys, because like in the depth psychological realm, we call this ego strength.
Mm,
And so, so much of what we talk about with the ego or what we hear about in the pop psychological world is like, let go of your ego or have no ego, right? And what do we know about that? That's not true. That doesn't happen. If we don't have an ego, we fall into something like psychosis. We need our egos.
Mm.
And yet our egos get themselves in trouble when they think that they are the center of self instead of
mhm,
just the center of our conscious mind. And so the stronger our egos become, the more we have an ability to witness ourselves, right? And have that metacognition versus believing that this is just everything. And
mm,
so maybe it's also speaking to just at what point in one's journey or are they, and how does that lend itself to metacognition or ego strength?
That's good.
So well said.
Yeah.
So well said.
Hey, Delian, what's
Yes,
something that
yes,
popped
Jeff.
for you in the chat that can start us off? Did anything hit you?
Well, really, there's so many good things happening. So many people are sharing lots of good stuff, and I think everybody's really appreciative of everything that Nadia, Kristin, and Jackie have brought forward. And so it's a lot of just talking about how good that's been. How about this? Does anybody have any thoughts that didn't get talked about in the chat or didn't get resolved in the chat that they would like to throw forward?
Asher, ask your presence question.
Yeah, so I'm curious about for the panelists, your relationship with presence. And I'm meaning presence as bringing one's full physical, emotional, and cognitive self into the human encounter.
And the question is
That-
our relationship to that as you define
yeah,
it.
like to presence. Yeah. Or how do y'all think about presence, talk about presence? What's a relationship to presence?
I will say that I feel like my work as a coach is trying to teach that, trying to help sixes. So my journey, therefore, has also been like, how do I get out of this buzzy everythingness, really learn about my feelings as separate from the stories attached to them, right? And right there's like a lot of work for probably everybody, but sixes for sure. And then how to be with myself. And then in that, so just that, how can I be with all of me in any given moment alone? And then what happens when I'm in contact with any other being? I mean, even my dog can take me out of presence because I'm like, oh, you need a walk. And now I feel guilty. And like, so, but then a person, well, that's even more. So can I slow down the mechanism, which is fast? I'm a fast person. There's a lot going on. How can I slow all that down to be a full being? I don't know. I guess my answer is like, yeah, that's the work.
Asher, are you asking like, how do we do that?
Yeah, I think that's a great
Mhm.
direction to go as well. Like I think
Okay.
Kristin
Yeah.
spoke to it, and I think it's a very broad
Mhm.
topic for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I think for me as a 7, when I think about this is that really difficult work of being with self. And like, I think you've got to learn how to like yourself, love yourself, to be able to want to be with yourself. And so this is part of that work as a coach that we do. Absolutely. We try to help people understand that, but the personal work first, right? So if we've done it, if we do the work first, it's easier for us to know how to navigate to help somebody else do the work. So I think the self-awareness is huge, understanding the why behind behavior. And that takes a lot of intentionality. Like I've got to ask myself why a lot, like what's going on? Where am I? I don't know what you guys think about inner child work. I love it that like I have to really pay attention to what part of me is activated, what's going on. But I have to notice. So that self-awareness, asking myself why, notice what is happening, notice the triggers, but it takes the slowing down and sitting with. So I have to get quiet in order to do this. And so can I live in this state? I think that life is happening, right? Like we're lifing. And so I don't know about being so just in presence. I don't know. And I would love to hear thoughts on that. Because when I think about this, there's so much intentionality that happens in this. I was recently snorkeling. And so I was laying on top of the water, and watching. And in that moment, I was like, oh, this is stillness. I'm right here. I am noticing and that was such a beautiful moment for me as far as presence. But it's hard to live in that state. If you guys have other thoughts on that, or how do I do it? I want to know. But that's kind of my thought on it as a 7. I want more of it. It takes stillness and quiet for me to get there. And I don't have a ton of that in my life. So.
Yeah, I love that you asked this question, Asher, because over the last few years, when people ask me what my biggest value is, I say presence. And it really is like, how do I be fully here? Like right here, right now. And that doesn't always mean, like I'm seeing it in the chat, is that safety? Sometimes, and sometimes not, and sometimes it's real safety, and sometimes it's, perceived unsafety. And, like our systems are constantly moving through, titrating between expansion and contraction. And our work, especially as head types, is to be present to that without then like getting sucked back up into the head and disconnecting because it feels too overwhelming. And so much of my work, and especially being a psychotherapist, and I specialize with, I work with adult individuals healing from early childhood trauma. There's so much presence that needs to be had all the time in that, especially because what does it mean to really see someone and be seen, and all that reparative work that happens in a therapeutic context. So that it is a lot of really breathing into the body and being present to whatever's there. Like right now, my heart is beating really quickly. I have some low back pain, right? And like if I were just in my type, it'd be like, yeah, no, we're like up and out. But it's like, okay, how do I slow down and really just be with this? And I really do. That's one of the things I appreciate the most about 5s is if you are in the presence of a healthy 5, you feel really seen and you feel really held. And so, yeah, I think presence is a huge thing for, all head types, but I feel it and think about this a lot as a 5.
Yeah.
I
like how you.
No, Asher, go. Nope.
See, I really like how you just brought a fuller picture to presence in that, in the like here and now, and not just slowing down. Like I think there's presence of like I'm just being a human being, and I think there's presence for like me as a 6. I'm not reaching to anxiety when I need to be reaching and embracing fear. And like I think that I like that you've brought that in, or like, I think it's like what I was thinking about is like, gosh, and something Kristin said earlier got me thinking about this too, with like, oh, for a 6, I can reach to being a devil's advocate coming into a room. And I reach there instead of like, oh, what am I uncomfortable about in this room? So I really appreciated what all of y'all brought, and just kind of how rounded out that was. So thank you.
Asher,
Other
you
questions?
just
Go ahead, sir.
said, just go. This is such a great conversation. So yes, everything Asher just said. I think especially for sixes, because that's where I hang out. When I say presence, do I actually mean peace? Am I actually saying calm? Because what's true is whatever's present may not be desirable. And so let's expand our capacity, yes, to be with what is, which may have nothing to do. I mean, Ashley, you already said it. I'm just repeating what you said. But often what's present is something maybe I don't want. But the more I can expand my capacity to be with that, then I can stay with myself as I, go up. I think the psychological term for this essentially is expand my window of tolerance, right? Can I just stay when I'm up, when I'm down, and I'm actually doing the very human thing of moving through all of the human experience, which there's a lot of, and apparently we can't avoid, which is real annoying. Just want to mention that.
Bang. Well said. Other questions, thoughts, things worth saying, asking to the panel?
Sorry, Jeff, I didn't raise my hand. I'm really curious about if five, sixes, and sevens in particular do work around creating an inner sense of safety and what that's like. So that because it's my understanding that being well resourced, having that sense of certainty, or even having your people being taken care of is very externally focused. And so what does it mean? And is it even a part of the work to create inner safety? And if so, what is that?
It's a good question.
When I think about the inner safety, yes, I do think it's relevant for all of us, for the head types and how we do it. When I think about inner safety, it does have to do with, for seven anyways, I do think it has to do with some walls. Like when I think about how am I going to keep myself safe? And I think like on the inner side, and maybe it's just what I've witnessed in my own life, honestly. But I think about, well, let me do this with its stances, because I think and push back if you think I'm wrong too, obviously. But the 3, 7, 8 that stand independently and push against, what I have found with that pairing, that group, is that we don't expect to get our heart longing met, those heart messages met, so we protect them. And so there's other movements towards, right, but this particular group, it's probably not going to happen, so we'll figure out how to make it happen for ourselves. I do think that that's that inner safety. Like I have to have boundaries or walls up around parts of myself. And so the work is understanding what those are, beginning to take them down. And it requires safe environments and safe people. It requires connection and community, community. It requires, if you're safe, you can do the work, And so I think that when I think about that inner safety, it has a lot to do with protection until you start to do the work and self-awareness. And then when there's a safe community around you, I feel like that's where the walls can begin to come down, and inner safety is going to look different because you're not in it alone. So maybe you begin to understand that, no, you can have some of those needs that are going to get met. You're not in this by yourself. You don't have to try to figure this all out on your own. But I think that 3, 7, and 8, a lot of life feels like you're left to figure it out on your own.
I have a question for you on that, Jackie. In terms of walls, I would normally think that walls are about keeping the exterior stuff out, but that's not necessarily what I'm hearing on the 7 front. In terms of protection to do the inner work, my assumption is with 7s, the problem is internal. And so getting to the spot to do business with the internal problem, as you were saying, that protection to do the inner work, so the walls end up being, how the walls function there.
Well, I think that avoid and deny the lower emotions. So we put our own walls up around feeling. We can't go there because what if it's not true? So we'll just kind of, maybe it's not walls, maybe it's levels, floors, like concrete levels that build up. Like we'll just put that and we'll just put some cement over it because it's probably not going to happen. And then we're just going to function out of this up here, but we have such deep need and longing, but we mask it really well. Sevens mask really, really well. And then you'll see, you'll see the gluttony, you'll see the overuse of as a way to try to get our needs met in different ways.
Yeah. You can always run away.
Right.
That's a no. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really well said. Thank you, Jerry. Thoughts, questions? Where's your mind go?
I feel like my answer to that, Jackie, was something you said. I was like, oh, that was my answer. And I guess that's not right. Because my answer to, for me, from what I was thinking, not what you said. What you said was great. I was like, well, you can't actually be safe. So then therefore is the rest of my answer. And I was like, oh, is that just a sixth thought? Because for me, the real work is to accept that the safety that I crave, the certainty I crave, isn't real. It's not a thing. So how can I move through the world knowing, accepting that bad things can happen anytime? How do I just let that be true and not be hooked on that, right? It's like a thing that exists, but it isn't a thing I'm always like honed in on. Because I don't think so. And also this gets into like black or white thinking. Can I be safe enough sometimes to trust someone enough to really let my guard down? Yes. Can I be safe at all times? No, that's not real. So what does it take for me to be safe enough, like in a state that is safe enough, that I have enough trust, I guess, that I can really let down my guard with people? There's also the way that sixes attack themselves constantly. So getting rid of that, like I teach a lot about how a lot of times the call's coming from inside the house, right? Like if you cannot not be mean to yourself, you will not feel safe in your body. You have to figure out how to appreciate who you are right now in this moment without being better, more, whatever. If you cannot do that, how can you feel safe? You're like calling yourself terrible things all the time, but like dressing it up in like do better, be better, whatever. Things that the world loves for us to want to do. And then my other just thought about safety is a little more like high level. I think our culture has gone extremely, how do I say it? Safety obsessed. Safe, everything safe. So nothing is safe enough. And I'm kind of like, that's right. It's not. It's like, so safetyism, I think, is a real cultural problem also that we have right now that a lot of people love and are clinging to, right? I need more to feel safe. I need more to feel safe. It's like, well, that's unfortunate because, reality.
So well said, both of you. And yeah, I find the like 30 seconds to hack your nervous system and feel safe in the world. It's like, okay, the world is unsafe.
$27.99.
Yeah, exactly. The world's unsafe, like it is, right? There's so much that's unknown, and we can't control so much of it. And I think that's it leads me back to presence, actually. But inner safety for me as a five is really about reclaiming that lost childhood message that my needs actually do matter, and really tending to I don't know, like the everyday mundane things. So I've shared with Jeff in my last podcast with him, but like I keep a photo of myself as a little girl next to my desk all the time because I have to look at her and I have to connect with her and think about like how would I treat this child who's in front of me and how would I help tend to them in the here and now. And so I think fives, we tend to forget about things like, oh, have I eaten? And have I used the restroom? And have I like seen sunlight today? And have I like done these things that are just so natural that have just like, I don't know, left our bodies? Like, I don't know, like, I don't know where they went, but most fives I talk to were like, oh yeah, I forget that all the time. And so inner safety for me, it's like I trust myself. And I've been doing the inner work for a very long time now. So it's like I trust myself to be able to hold the deepest, biggest emotions. That's not really what I struggle with at all. What I struggle with is tending to my body and those very, very mundane things that seem to have gotten lost along the way.
It blew my mind that basically what I heard, and maybe I didn't hear it right, but it blew my mind that all three of you basically said that when you're anxious or fearful, it makes you angry, which I'm a one. So I'm angry about everything. And then my fear makes me anxious, or my anger makes me anxious, right? Or makes me afraid that something bad might happen. So did I hear that right? Is that you talked about how fundamental anger is, and I really agree that that's true for all people. But did I understand you right that you were saying that you're afraid of something makes you angry?
I think for me, the way I experience it and talk about it is that anger feels so much better than fear or being afraid. So I would much rather feel angry or self-righteous. Sixes love self-righteous. Oh, God, I could freaking bathe in it. So there are just emotions that are so much preferred that are a very good cover to fear, anger being one of them. It's sturdier, right? When I'm sitting in anger, I feel sturdy. And if I give that up and move toward my fear, it's like, I mean, I always cry because it's so overwhelming. Just that flash of fear is
So that's
so
why
overwhelming.
so would you say that's why you related to the word masking?
Yeah,
It
I think
can
there's lots of
cover,
reasons I relate to that word. It's
yeah,
cover. Yeah,
it can cover that you're afraid. Yeah.
totally. Yes. Oh, yeah.
I think that for a seven that moves towards one in stress, that makes sense to me. The anger piece makes sense to me, where when I get anxious, I get stressed, and then anger is an easier emotion to access than anything else. So it makes sense to me that way.
I associate anger with control at some level, whereas fear is about the future, which you can't control. That's why I hear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a really interesting point of potential dialogue, Jeff, because fear is not about the future. Anxiety is about the future.
Yep.
Okay.
When we've talked about Dr. Siegel's book, he does refer to anger as like the ramp up emotion, like to take control when we feel violated. So I do wonder if that's like the easiest thing to ramp up and do what you have to.
I think
Fuel.
that's what I was gonna say is like, fives are very big about boundaries, right? And what do we know about the literature around boundaries is that oftentimes we don't get angry enough and anger kind of creates that boundary. But I think for fives, we go there so quickly because we're so concerned about boundaries. It's very unconscious for us that if somebody oversteps it, the first thing that comes is anger to push back. But if we get underneath it, or myself as a five, it's not really anger underneath, it's fear. But it's just that initial, I don't know, like a scared dog or something.
Yeah, I just would round out the question to thank you for that, all those comments, because I work completely opposite.
Mm.
I get mad,
So
and then
interesting.
that makes me afraid that maybe something bad will happen, or maybe you'll think that I'm not a good person, or whatever. I get anxious about all of the stuff that happens when I get mad. So thanks for that, rounding that out.
That's so good, Andrew. I feel like, Noah, did I imagine you wanting to say something? I imagined that, or I did not imagine it.
I guess I have something to say, but I don't I don't know that I communicated it. I guess I am curious about how your fear connects to how you connect with others for sixes and sevens, because I think as a five, a lot of what's coming up in the chat for me is I think I have sort of my like 20% of maybe boundaried self that I want to present to the world and I feel is maybe what the world wants from me. And then maybe 80% out of fear is like, okay, this is what exists when I'm alone and this is me being present. And a lot of my work as a five is kind of finding ways to like push that 80% more out into the world rather than being sort of in a like garden of my own creation where I leave my home and I'm no longer myself. So I was wondering how that looks and differs for how sixes and sevens navigate.
I'll let you go, Kristin, on that one. You start that.
It's just so interesting as a six and being in the middle of the triad, because something I say, I'm like, at least fives and sevens have a safe place, right? Like sevens can just go out and feel great, and fives can go in and feel great. And I'm like, sixes, where are we going to go? We have no, there's no, out there scary, in here scary. So to some regard, I just am like, oh, I love that. I love the idea of your 80%. Noah. I'm like, yeah, I want that, but I'm compelled out. So I don't have any other words than that about that. And I really enjoyed what you shared. So thank you for sharing it.
Yeah. I think as a seven, I'm an extrovert too. I don't know that all sevens are extrovert. So I think that plays into it as well. Like I'm just showing up and happy to be everywhere. And what I have to work on is that inner space, that quiet, like I need to create something like you've got going on. Like I need to move back in a little bit because I'm like, I want to be a part of all things and then I get, frustrated and mad because I've overextended. And so I don't know that I'm answering your question at all. I think I'm still trying to process it, but yeah, I'm not an 80-20. I'm like a 95 out, 5 in.
Ask a follow-up question to that. And Nadia, I'm sorry to put you on the spot because it's 2 of 5, but Kristin and Jackie can answer too. I've heard some fives say, and I think even in these groups, I've heard fives think about their feelings. They don't feel their feelings. And I wanted to know if you have like a better way to articulate that.
Oh man. It's okay. Big question. Am being put on the spot. It's like all my fiveness is like,
Sorry.
let's run away. No. It's good. I think it's true a good majority of the time that we approach feeling from thinking space. And at the same time, again, I'm just going to like die on this hill saying that fives are really big feelers. We just don't present that to the world. And I think part of what we do is we're going in between thinking and feeling, right? We're doing repressed. And so we're like going back and forth internally. But then we need to think about how we're going to construct this feeling when we bring it up and out. And so that is where I know for myself and a lot of the fives that I work with, you moved on my screen. I can't see. Okay, there you are. It gets a little bit harder to try to think about like, okay, well, how am I going to articulate this later? And we know that fives are, you know, we don't really share many things that we haven't thought through and felt through, and to this point where it's like perfectly articulated. But I think that that also gets us in the trap of the thinking space, and that's part of why I approach things like this very much intentionally asking, please don't tell me what the questions are, because I need to feel them in real time, right? And I can't have my head filtering through that feeling. So I don't know if that answers your question. I hope partially. Let me know.
That was good.
So that phrase that you used, that one, thinking their feelings instead of feeling their feelings, that is actually, I've heard that about a seven. I've used that with sevens. I think it's very accurate for sevens, that we think of them, we don't feel them. The hardest work we'll ever do is connecting head to heart for a seven. We're very disconnected from our feelings because they don't, or in the past haven't served us well necessarily. And so happy, joy, whatever, that's easy access. But as far as those lower emotions, that is very difficult for us to get into. And even being present where our feet are, I would say, in that feeling space, like we are futuristic. So we're on to the next thing and we're not necessarily feeling what's happening right in the moment. So that is a ton of work that the Enneagram 7 has to get. They have to get into their body and they have to get into their feelings. Like they can't bypass. And so that phrase that you said, that very much fits the 7, if that's helpful.
It fits 6 as well.
Yeah.
I suppose I'd want to analyze the differences there a little bit, but there's something about and Jackie, you mentioned it, the thinking about feelings. My assumption is at first thinking about feelings is how do I elevate the positive feelings? And the only reason you'd be thinking about feelings in that space would be something like, I need to solve a problem in front of me. So let's elevate some positivity here.
Absolutely.
And that will be different than the 6s thinking about their feelings.
Yeah. There's some thinking like in that space, if there's negative feelings, how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
How do I don't want to feel this. I don't like the way I feel right now. I need to get out of it. How do I fix it, change it, laugh, sarcasm? Oh my gosh, let's make a joke. Like therapy, my therapist, I give her, it's hard for her because I want to just make her laugh. I don't want to do the hard work. So there's a lot of that spinning that's happening. Yes. Yeah. I think that's true.
6s don't like feeling anything, well, period. But also, they think their emotions need to be justified or validated externally. So that's where you get a lot of present time emoting is I don't know that what I need is validation for a feeling. So I'm trying to convince you of something. Because what I really want is for you to tell me, hey, what you're feeling and experiencing, that's correct. That's legitimate. So to be able to give ourselves that permission to feel whatever we're feeling is a huge part of our own work because it feels very vulnerable. Our head is telling us that we're wrong, that we're making too big of a deal out of something. Why do you feel anything at all? You shouldn't, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot going on there.
So can I ask, or maybe I just need to center something real quick for the 3 of our head spaces. So, okay. So the 5, I hear you say, no, we feel, we don't necessarily show the world that we're feeling, but we definitely feel. I hear the 6 questioning the feeling. Like, I don't know that we should feel, maybe this is wrong in what we're feeling. Like, this is, and then I hear the 7 want to escape from it. Like, let's just get out of it. Would you sum it up that way as far as feelings goes? Does that sound right? Am I hearing it right?
That's good. I like that.
If I was doing theoretical stuff, I think the 6 is processing with feeling. And so like finding themselves, their stability is going to be very relational. And as Kristin was kind of saying, navigating is in part is getting a sense of what other people feel or their interpretations of the feelings at hand. Whereas the five, the feeling center is the secondary center for the five. So thinking comes as primary. The emotions are something to be analyzed and to do business with. So many fives end up being like that. We even end up doing a lot of work as psychologists because they're thinking about their emotions in that sense. And as you were saying, sevens, it's repressed center. Feelings are something to, what I've been elevating there is the positive outlook of 2s, 7s, and 9s. When problems emerge, motive isn't being fulfilled, then you elevate how do we think about our emotions in a positive way such that we overcome the problem. 9s and 2s will do the same thing. But I loved your language earlier about like the walls, and you understand that some of the inner work is really important and should not be run away from. But that inner work is the landscape, I assume, of your rich, valuable, important emotional life. But solving problems isn't, you have to overcome that positive outlook in order to get there. Is what I heard. Last questions for head types on our panel.
I have one. I'm wondering if feelings are an energetic resource that's front of mind for head types. Like, do you engage with emotions and feelings and think about it as like an energetic resource you either can give or can't give based on a sense of security, or just something that you're, as a 4, I don't think of emotions as a resource. They're just always available.
I would say I have some of those thoughts, but I wouldn't, like, I think of those from like I think of that. I want to say yes, but I wouldn't say I used to. Like, I think that's something I've come to in my work and learning about humaning and learning about emotions. So, for instance, I think of anger as fuel to do things. This is one of the things I think about 9s. I'm like, well, all that, like, you gotta go there to get going. Like, anger is fuel. It's a spark. And then, that's, I think, the easiest one that I think about, having an actual purpose. I see so many purposes for anger. There are other ones that I think just like culturally are hard for us to think they have a purpose, right? Grief doesn't have a big space generally in our culture, but surely it serves many purposes. So I would have to do more thinking about that.
Well, everything's a resource for a 5. So, yes. And I'm sitting here just feeling into like the desire as a 5 that I have for relating from the heart. I think part of what makes it scary is, again, the childhood conditioning that you're not allowed to have needs, aka you're not allowed to like have anything here in the heart space. And so again, that goes back to the like trying to like going back in the shell and trying to construct how to bring some of these feelings forward really comes from this place of like, am I going to get rejected? But when somebody meets me with their heart, like I just feel like I melt as a 5. Like it's so lovely, and it just makes me want to be in that space. And because of all of my 5-ness over the course of my life, there is like a muscle that has to continue to get built around this. So I can really relate from the heart, and then I might go collapse after. And it doesn't mean that it was bad or that it took energy in this depleting avarice way, but it really is just something that us 5s continue to have to build capacity for.
Yeah, I think as a 7, feelings as resource, as energy, when I think about that, like moving into spaces, yeah, like I think that we do use it as a resource, as like on the positive side, like let's get this thing moving, let's get it going, let's stir it up, let's, like I don't like those sad faces. How do I get this? Like, I think so. Yes, I never thought about it like that, but I mean, I can see myself doing it every day. So I'm like, oh yeah, I am always kind of stirring stuff up in wanting environments to feel a certain way. And so I can definitely see how I would use that as a resource. On the healthier side of this too, and holding space for people, I think it's, growing through this, there's access to lower emotions as well today that there wasn't a long time ago. And so being able to kind of tap into that is different as well, holding space for people that I can see it today. I understand the need for that mirroring and things like this today. And so with a lot of awareness, we can use both sides of the lower emotions and the high emotions. Without awareness, I think we're really good at the high side of emotion and stirring it up. That's what I would say.
And I would say, sadly, I'm like, do I want to say this? Without awareness, 6s can't do either end of the spectrum well, because we're kind of overtaken by all of it. And why a 6 is always like, I want peace. I need peace. I'm like, no, you just need more capacity. But I get why you think that.
You guys have been fantastic. This has been a great discussion. I want to ask each of you where folks can find your work, because all of you are doing fantastic stuff along these fronts. Kristin, tell us about what the work you're up to, and if folks want to connect with you, where they can do that.
I would say Instagram is probably best for connection. Enneagram 6 coach, or my email, Kristin@KristinMessegee.com.
Perfect. And you're coaching exclusively 6s, or are you branching out occasionally? Sticking with the 6s. Rock music. Jackie?
Enneagram with JB is where you can get all my stuff. So Instagram, I respond the best on Instagram, but I am on other platforms as well. And I have a website and all that good stuff, and a podcast. So you can find me there.
Jackie's podcast is well worth finding for
Thank you.
You out there. Nadia, what are you up to?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Nadia Rae Brackett, or my website, NadiaRaeBrackett.com. I provide psychotherapy for people in Colorado or North Carolina, but I do coaching worldwide.
Rock and roll. I'm so grateful for y'all. To quick sign off for me, we're going to continue this series next month, September 12th. We're going to do 8s, 9s, and 1s with Stacey Wynn, who's with us. Danny Cooper and the TJ Wilson will show up. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see. And then on October 10th, we're going to be doing the Heart Triad, and that'll be good times. That's what I got. Y'all have been fantastic. I'm so grateful for so many of you bringing good energy questions, and a round of applause for our panelists. Jackie, Kristin, Nadia, you guys are a treasure to me, and I'm really thankful for you. So, and with that, we're going to sign off. So